Hi, this is San Khan, and today we'll be annotating the poem Digging by Seamus Heaney. So, just from the title, we can take digging as literal, like, literally digging holes, or we can take digging as a more symbolic term, meaning he's searching or he's finding something. So, yeah, the title is very significant since the word digging is repeated over and over again in the poem. So, in the first stanza, so this poem is 8 stanzas, and it's a blank verse, so there's not a lot of rhyme except for the first 4 lines. So as we begin with the first stanza, we notice that this poem is in first person view through the so the strain on between my finger and my thumb. So this indicates the POV is first person. We can also infer that this is a personal experience through the my, and then also we also see that there's a simile in this. The squat pen rests snugs as a gun, so it's comparing the pen as to the gun, meaning the pen is used as a utensil or a weapon in this case. We also see that there's a rhyme. It's a stretch, but it's a rhyme, thumb and gun. So that's for the first stanza. In the next stanza, we see that the narrator is looking down upon his father digging. So in this stanza, we can see that there is another. Again, we see under my window. So this again infers that it's a personal experience. We also see this rhyme right here, sound and ground. This is this couple. This is a BB. So these two and these two are the only rhyme schemes in the whole poem. We also see in this stanza that there's alliterations, the spade sinks or the gravelly ground. We can also see that right here this is visual imagery. As the spade sinks into the gravelly ground, we can picture a shovel digging, and then we see here that there's an emphasis on digging. So as I was saying, the repetition of the word digging is used often. So this has significance. So in the next stanza, the third stanza, we first see that we notice that this is an enjambment. So why is this an enjambment? Why is the thought running on? We can ask. And then also we see unknown vocabulary. Rump in this case means buttocks or his lower back, and also straining rump. Straining rump meaning straining rump. This infers so like a straining back. This could we can infer through this that this is the father is going through hard labor, and his job requires him to be, to perform hard labor. Again, we here see he was digging. Again, repetition of the title. In stanza 4, we can see an alliteration, tall tops. We also see in stanza 4 that there is extended alliterations throughout. So buried the bright, or potatoes that we picked, or hardness in our hands. They're just extended alliterations. And also in the fourth stanza, there is the author is essentially explaining right here that the fruits of their labor. So he's admiring his father's works, fruits of their labor. So the potatoes they pick are the reward they get for this labor. In the fifth stanza, we see by God. So this is a type of diction. It refers to it doesn't refer, sorry, it showcases how the poem is in a more older in time, because this type of vocabulary is usually used in the past. We can also see that the usage of old man is repeated. This could be an inference that old man usually perform agriculture, stuff like that. And we can also see again admiration. So the narrator is once again admiring uh, the family business. And then again, now next to the sixth stanza, we see again my grandfather, so personal experience. And we also see my grandfather cut more in a day than any other man in Toner's box. So again, admiration. And then Toner's bog also reveals the setting. This is probably where the narrator and his family live. We also see another unfamiliar word is sods. Sods is just another word for turf, actually. And here we see that there's the repetition of the word down again. And then again, emphasis on digging. And this one is significant. This is very significant. It's in its own sentence. So, and we can also say there's a consonant right here, bottle, corked, sloppily, an assonance of the O sound. So this assonance. Now the next one right here, we see duck holds smell of potato mold. This could be referred to as olfactory or sense of smell imagery. We can imagine the smell of the potato mold. And right here we can also see that there is a onomatopoeia, squelch and slap of soggy squelch and slap. This is onomatopoeic terms, and the squelch, slap, and soggy altogether is also an alliteration of the S sound. Again, there is an unknown vocabulary, peat, which peat just means, again, just as sod. Sod's another term for turf or dirt. We also see in the seventh stanza that there is, an alliteration, the cuts of an edge. And yeah, now moving on to the last stanza. In the seventh stanza, there we can also see a shift, but I've no spade to follow men like them. This is where the author's tone changes. It's throughout the tone. It's all admiration, admiration, admiration. But here it showcases that, look, he doesn't even have a spade to follow men like them. He can't follow through with this. So I'd say this is a shift in the poem. Again, here we see in the eighth stanza, between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests. This is repetition and indicates that this person is a writer or something, or author. And then it says, I'll dig with it. Again, emphasis on digging. I'll dig with it also could mean a resolve. And the squat pen rest, I'll dig with it. It's comparing, we see a metaphor here that it compares the pen as his tool. Like he's comparing the pen and his passions to what he's going to pursue. So the tone of the poem was more so like, it was a more, he admired his father. It was more respectful. He looked up to his father, his grandfather. So he kept that tone all the way through. And then we saw a shift right over here where it was like, he can't even though he admires them, he can't follow them. And then the mood was a very subtle and very quiet, no tension kind of mood, just more of an observer perspective. Then for the theme, two main themes I saw in this were, firstly, there was a lot of admiration and like respect towards your people's professions, stuff like that. And this is seen right over here as he admires his man and his grandfather. Right here again, he admires his grandfather. Another theme that was evident was skill. Skill is also seen in the very first one, the squat pen rest, snug as a gun. So this infers that he's skillful with the utensil of a pen. Over here, my God, the old man could handle a spade just like his old man. Again, skill, the skill of using the spade. So, furthermore, there was also the there were three questions that we saw that were high level thinking questions that we thought of were that, first of all, we think that is the narrator of this poem Seamus Heaney himself, because through the indication of my, it seems that it's a more of an autobiography. So is the narrator of this poem Seamus Heaney himself? Second question we thought of was that how does the generational gap affect the narrator? So how does the generational gap between his father and his grandfather, who were diggers, and he is like more an author type, how does that affect him? And then the third one, is there a sense of admiration and respect in the poem? And as we see that there is through this one of the themes. So we really liked the poem. It really flowed, and it just made sense, and it showed that, like, even if you admire and you respect another person's profession, that doesn't mean you have to pursue it. And it was just a very well written poem.